listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV Sleepy Hollow After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV Sleepy Hollow After Show.
Yeah, it's that witchcraft, baby. So smooth. Hey everybody, Bing is for doing, and we are doing another Sleepy Hollow after show. This is episode 102, Blood Moon. My name is Matt Lieberman, and joining me on the panel, as always, are the fabulous and talented Miss Jacque Borowski.
Hey.
And the hilarious Mr. Stephen Lemieux.
Oh yes, listen to some Sinatra. Oh yeah.
I totally had never heard that song before, but then I realized as I was watching it, that's the song that the Singing Sword sings in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So that answered like a decade-long mystery for me.
Does this mean I have to buy you a CD of Sinatra's greatest hits?
No, but I mean you can.
I think I should.
I would like.
This makes me sad.
Okay, well, don't be sad, okay? We have so much good stuff to talk about because this was a great episode. We got answers to a lot of questions. We laid some groundwork for the future of the series. We had some death. We had some creepiness. We had fire. But I want to start by talking about Ichabod and Abby, right? Kind of reeling from their experiences in the first episode. But we start with Ichabod having a vision.
Yes.
Right? He's in the forest. He's being chased by the four horsemen.
Yes.
Yes.
Which I was very pleased to see that they answered my question from the last episode, which was, where are the other horsemen? And we know that they're coming.
Yes.
They're on their horses.
They're on their horses.
So,
and they're coming.
In the original legend, Death is the final horseman to appear. How I took it was that back in 1781, Death was the final horseman to be raised, but when his head was chopped off, the other ones lost their power or were able to be fought off. And now Death is re-raising everybody else.
I think that's a good way to read it. And I want to apologize because a lot of people pointed out that...
Oh, yeah, bring this up.
I did not realize I don't know why I didn't realize that the horse came from the stable. I think because it had red eyes, I just got obsessed in my head with the fact that it was supernatural and totally forgot that it came from the stable.
It's still a magic horse, though.
It is a magic horse.
We can't deny that it's a magic horse. That might have been a magic stable.
Yeah.
But it was a magic horse.
Well, or maybe when the Headless Horseman, he has such a magic body with magic buns that when his magic buns sit on the horse, it becomes magic.
Okay, so now we're all going to have to re-examine the apparently lusciously magic body of the Headless Horseman.
Yes.
Yes, because apparently his buns are so firm, they turn horses' eyes red.
Yeah.
Yes. Because that's what's up. Okay, so yeah, we don't know. He got the horse from the stable, but he somehow made it demon horse. We're gonna say demon horse, because eventually they're gonna have to run down that horse, and I don't want them to have to kill a normal horse.
Yeah, that would be sad.
Yeah.
They have.
What a headless horseman know about feeding horses anyway?
He probably feeds it with his own hate and rage.
Okay.
He really doesn't have a good head on his shoulders to know something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. I want you to let's put a quarter in the cheesy joke jar, and we'll just keep it all season long.
I'm going to be able to buy an Xbox One with that by the time we finish.
I know.
And it's all going to be you.
Yeah, bro.
Sadly, yes.
Jesus. Okay. So we had that. Was there another thing that we needed to address from last week's episode?
One was... somebody named Chaos pointed out that the 144,000 was actually the number of people protected by God's wrath in Revelation.
Interesting. So that's another connection.
Yeah, I think that was just a cheeky sort of reference on their part. And then Same user also said that snakes and frogs are associated with evil, so maybe that's why the snakes and frogs popped out of the jars and they're still alive.
Well, it's probably why they were part of the spell. It probably was a dark spell, or they were used to ward off evil. You know, maybe
Exactly.
evil cannot touch evil or something like that.
And then several users, including Chaos and a user named Cheryl, pointed out that this whole witches burning thing was very confusing to me because I didn't think witches were burned at that time period.
Yeah.
But they're for the mythos of Sleepy Hollow, they were burned, and they mention in this episode that their bones are buried in the basement because they're not. And this was another problem I had. I was like, I didn't think that if you were known to be a witch, that you were buried on consecrated ground.
They said that last week. They said it last week and this week. If you are a witch, you cannot be buried on consecrated ground. It's why her grave was empty at the church. But here's the thing, right? So all the witch bones are buried in the same place in the catacombs, and I'm like, well, aren't Katrina's bones there too? Because she was also a witch.
But we don't know where she is, though. Like, we don't know if she was really burned or that's just what they put on the gravestone to mix in with the mythology of Sleepy Hollow and make people not really guess.
But Cyrilda of Abaddon, she said that she was caught between worlds, much like she was.
And I feel like she's caught between worlds, either because they can't find her bones or because her bones have been misplaced.
Well, that's the thing, right? So in this episode, I feel like we kind of lay some groundwork of a witch can revive itself if its soul is raised and it finds its bones and then achieves some sort of task, some sort of penance that can raise it from the dead.
Right.
So maybe that'll be kind of a quest over the course of the season, is trying to track down Katrina's bones so that they can resurrect her.
Are we still under the assumption that Katrina's a good person?
I am too.
Because I mean, I think she is, but at the same time, we have 22 episodes this season, right?
Yeah.
And they're hour-long episodes, so a lot can happen. And I really feel like I had this crazy idea watching last episode with how much she could show Crane if the demon was her.
Interesting. So the faceless beast taking on the form of Katrina to gain Ichabod's trust and manipulate him?
Either that or Katrina was always the demon,
but
even from the past.
I don't know, because like, if the demon is so powerful, right, that it can go into Andy's cell and bust up his neck and then completely change the camera feed, you know, like why would it need to do that? It's so powerful. Why would it need that kind of subterfuge? What sort of possible outcome are they looking for?
I don't know. I just know Miller's really important, and Ichabod is now the closest person to Miller through manipulation to Mills through Katrina.
Yeah.
I feel, though, that the demon, I thought they mentioned this, the demon was the first of the evils to be raised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if Katrina could really do that, because when that was raised, she was still stuck in the world between worlds.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure she's linked, but somebody did point out, Michael B., that the hawk could be her familiar.
Which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. I hope we see the hawk.
Yeah.
Yes.
I threw out crazy predictions, guys. I'm sorry.
No, we love them.
Yeah, no,
We
those
love them.
are welcome here.
And they bring forth other questions that we have about the episode, which is what is important.
Like, what did you guys think of seeing John Cho? I was so creeped out by that
when
scene.
He burst out of the body bag?
Well, when you didn't see who it was at first, you just see this lump on his neck. You're like...
Yeah, well, for a second, I thought it was the Headless Horseman.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, Headless! I thought we weren't seeing him this week, and then snap, I'm like, what?
That looked creepy as all hell.
And they didn't kill him again in this episode, which means he's sticking around for a little while, which is great. Because we all love John Cho.
We love Zombie John Cho.
Zombie John Cho is rad. And he's playing him like as this kind of like cold and broken person. Like you can sense the regret that he has for being alive and carrying out these horrible tasks. You know what I mean? Like every time that he got someone's name, like he was so apologetic. He's like, I'm so sorry.
He was like, Todd, it's nothing personal.
Oh, you're talking about Breaking Bad?
Well, comparing a little bit, but
he was like Todd in Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Not giving anything
away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, there's nothing really to be done. You know, he's no longer alive. He has nothing to live for. The only thing that's keeping him on this plane is the faceless beast. Yeah.
That was a big necklace to throw up, though.
I know. Well, did the medallion look CGI to you guys?
Yes.
He's tossing down some jewelry.
Yeah. He points his finger at him, and then suddenly he's just got jewelry in his throat. He's just pulling up this long chain. Gross. That must have sucked to shoot.
I know.
Stuffing a chain down your throat.
Throwing up demon bling.
Yeah, no one wants demon bling in their throat. That's a safe place. Damn right. So I want to break down, we got this dream, and I love the kick-ass cool helmets on War, Conquest, and Famine.
Yes.
They have cool helmets.
They do have cool helmets.
Which, like, makes me wonder, why did Death have such, like, a stupid-looking faceplate and bald head when he had a head? Because he should have been wearing his kick-ass cool helmet, because those helmets rock.
I think the mask was badass.
The mask just looked like Bane.
Yeah.
Kind of like Bane, but I gotta say, there's
Revolutionary Bane.
there's something creepy about, like, just a metal plate on your face
There
and
is.
white
Yeah.
skin.
There is, especially when it reminds you of Bane, because Bane is creepy.
Is super creepy.
Don't make me do my Bane impersonation
No,
for the rest of
please.
the...
Well,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, right? So, Katrina is causing visions for Ichabod, but then by the end of the episode, we see Abby have a vision of Corbin, so I'm wondering, okay, are they both going to be having visions all season?
I think so, because they're like the magical Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we know that Katrina's not leaving anytime soon because she was in the main titles. She's
Right.
She's the fourth lead on the show. She's starring on the show, so she's in it probably every episode. Corbin, I'm wondering if he gets added to the opening titles next week, because I would love to see Clancy Brown stick around for a long time on this show. I love Clancy Brown, and I'm wondering if that means A, is he a witch, or was he like a warlock of some kind to be able to come back in this way? You know, is he in the world between worlds? Is everybody who gets their head chopped off in the world between worlds?
Maybe because Ichabod wasn't related to this world until he was harmed by death.
Right.
And now he was killed by death, so maybe in a way, because I still think he was just a third person from the outside who had been studying it.
Mhm.
And perhaps everyone related to the witnesses, because now we know that Ichabod and Mills are the witnesses, the
Yeah.
two witnesses spoken about. Or actually, we don't even know that.
Well, yeah,
The
no.
two witnesses could
be
Mills
Abby and
her
Jenny.
sis- yeah.
Abby and Jenny could both be the
witnesses.
witnesses, and Ichabod is just like there to help them.
yeah.
And as we saw by the end of the episode, she's basically Sarah Connor from Terminator 2.
Yes.
Doing pull-ups and it's like not even like an amalgam or like an homage. No, she's Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. They couldn't come up with their own like creative spin on it. It's literally the same. She is the same. She's the same thing. And I'm like, okay, lift from the best, whatever, you know? But like Kurtzman and Orky, come on. You're just giving us like a mishmash of existing pop culture tropes instead of adding new stuff. That's like just one quick rant. I'm happy about it because she's gonna be cool and it's gonna be a good character and it's not one that I was expecting. Fine. But there's zero difference.
I feel they do this on purpose, though. They want it to be referential to a lot of pop culture things.
Yeah, because people get excited on the net when they see something that they recognize. But
I mean, come on. They have so many references. Even the villain in this episode, like the Mummy.
yeah.
I mean, they had so many things like that, but I mean, giving nods to people isn't a bad thing necessarily, I don't think.
Okay.
Other thing, I feel that the world between worlds is purgatory. So if the world between worlds is purgatory, then everyone who is stuck in the world between worlds has some unfinished business, because purgatory is where you're biblically supposed to be before you can advance to heaven.
Well, that makes sense because Corbin's life's work was solving these murders and preventing the apocalypse. Katrina, the same thing.
Yeah.
So that makes complete sense that they would be there.
What I really like about this show so far, and this is kind of dipping into like the scenes from next episode, but this isn't like prediction. I like that they're bringing old mythos in, like each Dark Soul, which will be referenced. Because last week we were talking about how are they going to have a show if it's just a headless horseman every week.
Yeah.
And then they kind of give that the like, oh, he hasn't been here for a while, but we can't necessarily mean that's a good thing. But now we have kind of the premise going in, like, okay, so next week we have the Sandman. and then it's somewhat X-Files to me, and I really, really like that.
Yeah.
I like that we're going to get these crazy, like, old mythos things coming out of the other side that will be joining from the dark world.
Well, there's bits of X-Files, there's bits of Fringe, there's bits of Buffy. Like, they found their library. It's the library from Buffy is the records room. Secret records room where they keep all the stuff, and that he literally calls the armory. And that will be the official name of the room where we go get the stuff we need to fight the bad guys. Like, that's literally...
And Ichabod is young Giles.
Yeah.
Back when he was the Ripper.
He is young Giles. He's young Giles, and he's a badass with an eidetic memory. And that's how we know, like, there's something when you're making a series, right? One of the biggest things in development is if you're doing crime solving, there needs to be a reason beyond the premise why your characters are good at their job. And we found out Ichabod's. He's not just like a super soldier with great looks and a British accent and knowledge of some stuff, right?
He's basically the Sean Spencer of Psych that
Yeah.
just happened to be fighting in the Revolutionary War and transferred 250 years in the future.
Right, or
I mean,
Sherlock
but he taught
Holmes.
at Oxford, which is not like...
Yeah. No, he's a genius, and he can remember things even just by smelling them, which is crazy. But it's a useful skill to have when you're a consulting detective, which is what I assume they'll eventually call him.
Like Sherlock. That also reminded me of Sherlock.
Exactly. Taking the best bits from all the stuff and putting it together. Also, I saw the hashtag Sleepyheads on Twitter. I'm hoping that is
The writers started that.
The writers started
Yeah.
that? All right, F yeah. I'm calling it. I'm a sleepyhead. I'm down. I'm down for the
sleepyhead.
cause.
Yes.
I didn't wake up
tired.
till 1 today.
Sleepyhead.
Sleepyhead.
Represent. Ba 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 ba. I want to talk a little bit about Abby. So she kind of goes through. In talking with the captain, Orlando Jones. It's going to be a few episodes before I call him anything other than Orlando Jones. He's Orlando Jones.
/ Captain Frank.
/ Captain Frank. Thank you. And he gets her to start her whole doubt thing all over again. And I'm like, why are we doing this? We did this in the pilot. She's seen stuff. Why is she doubting Ichabod all over again?
Let's make her conflicted for some reason.
Yeah, so that she
But then
can
he
not be
starts
later.
the doubt stuff and then basically says, you have free range to investigate.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he like leaves. He's like, look, I don't trust you. I don't trust this guy. But I'm actually heading out of town. So if you want to just do whatever you want, do that. So she goes and she finds Ichabod at the motel. And I love that she stuck like sticky notes all over the motel.
Yes.
One of
so
my
he can
favorite moments.
figure out how things work. And then he's watching Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And he's so freaked out. That was a great little bit because you see the horse riding up and you're like, headless horseman? And no, it's Caesar, the monkey. The ape. He's not a monkey. He's an ape. He's an intelligent ape. If intelligent apes are real, sorry. You're not monkeys. Anyway, you're apes. Anyway. We also met Abby's ex this week.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
awkward.
Oh my gosh. And I feel like they threw that in because there are so many people from the beginning because these two actors...
They have so much chemistry.
They have so much chemistry. So I feel like they're like, okay, well, we already threw his ex-wife in there that he's, like, by the end of the episode, we know he's going to try to revive this season.
Well, not even ex-wife. Late wife.
Yeah, late wife.
But he's still in love with her, still wants her.
And then they give her conflict by giving her this ex-boyfriend who's like, so I was in the military. And he's like, well, I studied at Oxford.
Yeah.
Well, they give him this ex-boyfriend that she didn't really have to break up with because she didn't leave town.
And she doesn't want to explain why she doesn't want to be with him.
Right.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Exactly. So he's still going to be in the picture. I just loved his, like, cheekiness, like, ooh, were you betrothed?
Right.
And she's like, there was no betrothal, okay? I
Showed
love
some
these
ankle.
two. Yeah.
And then she tells him, I will pay you to stop talking. And then he says, I am in need of currency. The dialogue between the two of them just kills me.
It's so funny. And, like, when he's looking at the receipt for the donut holes, and he's outraged. He's like, we went to war over a 2% tax, and there are no people in the streets over 10%. Bastards. That's not what he said. But I just love his, like, moral indignation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because he's experiencing the world as it is now, and that's one of my favorite parts. But in his conversation with Luke, the ex-boyfriend, he says that he was wrongfully accused and then duly released. Now, I don't recall him being released.
He was released. He's not in prison. He's not in handcuffs. That's what happened between the last episode and this episode. He was released from custody, but he is still kind of being watched because he is a person of interest.
Right.
He's a person of interest. They probably finagled something to keep him out of the mental institution. And I guess what we'll see in the next episode and moving forward is Captain Frank. Thank you. Not Orlando Jones. Captain Frank is going to learn how to trust them because he's going to have to, because there are going to be more murders and more craziness.
And because they know about the magic library.
Exactly. The magic library from the catacombs.
Where if you're looking for something on this witch, you can definitely just randomly find a book that talks about her.
It's Buffy logic.
Yeah.
But I actually really liked how they tied that in together, though, with the book and talking about the covens and the woman who used white magic, and then finding out later that it's Katrina. Like, it really kind of ties it well together.
Yeah.
Did anyone also notice in the scene where they look at Katrina's grave that they have that, like, the pyramid Mason
from
symbol?
the Mason symbol, and then I was expecting him to pull out $1 and do the whole national treasure scene.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
John Voight shows up.
Exactly. Oh, John Voight would be great on this show.
He would.
We aren't getting John Voight, but we are getting John Noble.
Yes.
From Fringe, which is just awesome. I love him, and I loved him on that show, and he's going to be great on this show.
I really hope that means there's going to be some sort of Mason tie-in, because I could see him being like a Mason.
Totally. Or like head of Good Coven.
Yeah.
You know? Like he's our replacement for the dead priest. Yeah. I could totally see that.
I think we're going to see Orlando see John Cho. And I think that's what's going to make him kind of trust Abby and them more.
Oh,
because John Cho is running around. He kind of just took a police officer car and nobody notices it's missing.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not a huge town. I'm shocked that nobody is noticed the dead guy walking around, right?
Weren't you dead the other day?
Hey, man, weren't you dead 2 days ago? Didn't I see your body on the news? No?
I guess they're a little preoccupied with the charred corpses.
Yeah. Let's talk some charred corpses, right?
Let's talk some charred corpses.
Yeah, so Cyrilda, like, totally lights that Firth dude up.
Yeah.
And then
What was his
claws out his heart, basically.
Seamus Collinfirth or something?
No, not Seamus Collinfirth. It was like Stephen Blank Firth.
Jonathan Firth or something.
Stephen Seamus Firth or Stephen Michael Firth.
Oh, it was Jeremy Firth.
Jeremy Firth. Dang.
There was a middle name in there, and
I know.
I just wrote Jeremy Collinfirth because I was pressed for time and obsessed with Collinfirth.
I like the makeup they used for.
It's subtle.
It's
for the charbroiling.
No,
for John Cho, right?
No, not for John Cho. I'm talking about for the witch.
Oh.
Yeah, like the way
that was not subtle.
They could have gone totally CGI and all that crap. But I really think there's something to be said with good special effects through makeup that makes something seem a lot more real and creepy.
Yeah, she was burnt and what's interesting is another fan pointed out, I think it was Cheryl, that the bodies at the time when they were burnt at the stake didn't burn completely. So it made sense that she was just a not fully burnt corpse going around.
Totally. It was a really, really cool makeup job. And it's like, why not use practical effects when you can? Because they're often cheaper than CGI. Cheaper, and they look better. She looked great. And, I loved her whole quest in this episode. She felt betrayed by these people who burned her at the stake, and she's going to get her life back by any means possible. I was so scared for that poor kid.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That was terrifying.
That was terrifying.
Was she really betrayed, though? She kind of burnt several crimps completely to the ground, and then they kind of had a justification for burning her. But then I liked how cheesy it was when John Cho puts the necklace down. You just see a big burst of flame, and suddenly she's there.
Yeah.
That was just so old school, but still
very effective.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think it speaks to the tone of the show.
Yeah. Oh, and when they captured her, she like floated into the air with the net and everything.
Exactly. I loved that. That was maybe my favorite effect in the whole episode.
Yeah.
It's like a subtle thing, but that makes complete sense. And that's the thing. This show, it's spooky fun above all else. Leave any expectations of logic at the door, but at the same time, the logic is not going to be so poorly thought out that you'll groan.
Right.
It's like it's lean, effective logic.
Yes.
If you want to have fun, you'll buy into everything the show throws at you.
Right.
Which is great. Because it could easily have fallen the other way, but I think our leads are so likable and they deliver what could be really tricky dialogue so well that you want everything to work, and then it does.
Right.
So my question to you guys, because we were talking about how she burned everything and left corpse in her wake.
Sure.
Charred corpse. You know, that's
a corpse. Yeah.
Yes. And when she goes after the boy, do you think she realized that the boy was not related?
Yes.
And that's why she let him go? Because
Yeah.
she could have easily charred him, right?
Yeah.
But the boy was an innocent.
Well, yeah.
I feel like she was so focused on whatever her mission was, and she's magical, so it must be when she got in the vicinity of the boy, she realized it wasn't him, and the urn was right there.
Yeah.
So she must have noticed that, and then...
She's a spirit. She
ran
probably
off with
sensed it the moment that she got real close to the kid.
She needs some Visine, though.
Oh, yeah. Those eyes are red.
Mhm.
She's been smoking mad doobs in the world between worlds. That's what
I
I'm saying.
do like the storyline, though, where she's going after the ancestors of the people who wronged
Descendants.
her. Yeah,
Yes.
descendants. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You're allowed. They did a weird ancestors descendants switch, and I feel like they totally noticed it but didn't change it. Because like she said in Greek, that your ancestors' flesh will pay for my resurrection. But then and then in that same sentence, he's like, so I think they're going to go after their descendants. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just say descendants in the first place? That's weird.
Do you know the Greek word for descendants? The Greek word?
No.
Well, they didn't either.
Okay, well, Roberta Orci and Alex Kurtzman and Mark Goffman, fine. You're allowed to do that.
There you go.
You're allowed.
Did you enjoy the show regardless?
Yeah, I enjoyed the show a lot
There
regardless.
you go.
I watched it twice.
So then she finishes the spell, and they blow her up.
Yeah, they blow her up, and for a second you think that gunpowder totally isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And it was a fun little double take. It almost felt very like Pirates of the Caribbean in its tone of that kind of a gag.
Yes.
And I think that's very welcome here.
Yeah.
That kind of like Jerry Bruckheimer, light-hearted action comedy fits in well with this world.
Well, we get a good foreshadowing, too. The episode begins with him being pulled down into the catacombs.
Yeah.
And then it ends with them being in the catacombs, and eventually the savior of the catacombs is what they have there.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think they blew up a lot? Do you think there's still a lot of witches' bones down there, or you think we're done resurrecting witches for a while?
I think that probably some bones are damaged. Some bones are damaged, but there've got to be still one or two more skeletons in play.
Because they were buried deep in the ground, and John Cho had to dig
Yeah.
them
You're
out.
right, actually.
Yeah. So probably some skeletons were ruined, but some still exist. What I'm wondering is, right?
Andy, I'm sorry. All of us are like, John Cho the zombie.
Andy
John
Dunn.
Cho.
Sulu.
Yeah.
Sulu, John Cho the zombie.
Yes. Dead Sulu. No, John Cho. He's a great actor. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, so there's just this big gaping hole in the basement of the sheriff's office, of the police department, and no one's like, hey, what's going on with this hole? Anybody know what's going on with this hole? There seems to be a tunnel.
Frank's on vacation. We don't care.
There's rats coming out. Anybody? No? All right.
I hope they move like the filing cabinet in front of it, so it's just like they move it out.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
go
they
in and
better.
move it back.
Jeez. I mean, he just busts the wall open, and Abby's like, "What are you doing? What are you? Stop it! Stop!" Oh.
Don't worry. I have a wet floor sign we can put in front of it.
Yeah.
Were you guys surprised that a pick came out instead of an axe in the fire thing?
No.
Yeah.
Like
I
got
thought
a
he was going to
divided
actually
room.
grab a fire extinguisher, but
Yeah, I was like, okay, so they keep ice picks in the fire extinguisher.
it's Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. It's the sheriffs. They need more of a cool weapon. Our axes.
Was
are
that a
cool.
pun? Please tell me that was a pun.
Oh,
that's a
ice pick. It was
you
not
now
a
have
pun.
to put money in the pun jar.
Damn it.
Dude, that's 50 cents, Matt.
Oh man, we're gonna make so much money.
We should have a competition for our tweet fans that like will put their name in a jar, and at the end they get the pun jar money.
They get the pun jar money. Are we gonna commit to that right now? I mean, we can. I'm gonna stop making puns.
Maybe it's something we should do.
It's
just
a
to stop
22
ourselves.
episode season, Steve. That's a lot of pun money.
Well, if we go at this
It's
rate,
a lot of punny.
If
That's already $1, and that one was totally worth it because I thought it was funny. Damn it!
All right,
we're
well,
gonna
that's
lose so much
$22.
money. Fine. All right, we're in. We're in already. We've already lost $1.50 to some lucky fan. We'll figure out the exact rules for this sweepstakes.
$1.50, 25 cents a pun. People would be in the streets for that amount of money.
Quit it, okay? I'm already mad at you for costing me what will likely be a lot of money by the end of this season. We'll figure out the rules to this sweepstakes and we'll tell you about it next week. Steve, thanks for that. But while we're
Steve's gonna put his name in at the end, and then accidentally he's gonna put his name in like 10 times.
Don't do that. If we're going to have a sweepstakes, let's make it real.
We know Twitter hates me. I wouldn't be able to do that, Jackie.
Yeah, Twitter hates you for some reason. But really quickly, I just want to thank our fans for making us the #1 AfterBuzz TV podcast on iTunes.
Breaking Bad.
I know, beating Breaking Bad a week before its series finale is a big deal, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And to everyone who wrote to us on YouTube, thank you. We love your comments. Please rate and comment and subscribe on iTunes because that's how our bosses know how much you love the show. We love hearing from you and hearing what you think of what we do and what you think of the show. We want to have this conversation with you all season long, so help us by reaching out. And you can tweet at us, and we love to tweet back. Yes.
I'm actually going to go to iTunes right now and do some shout-outs for people because we got comments on iTunes.
Snap.
Within 1 week, we got 8 5-star ratings.
Whoa.
And
one,
we got...
one of those comments is me, though.
Okay.
So.
Oh, I thought the Jackie B123 looked a little familiar, but
I thought that was just a stalker.
I know it seemed too well written, but love you, Jackie. So let's give a shout out to Sir Ichabod,
Sweet.
who says a fun show gets a fun podcast.
Thank you.
Sarah527, love the host together. James Re74, greatest show on television. Mad Mimi 60, fun show. And Queenie Marie Vickers, great show.
Oh, well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
You rule, and that's why you get shout-outs, and more people who do iTunes reviews get shout-outs next week when we also announce this damn pun sweepstakes. I'm like such a fool for peer pressure, it's crazy. It's like if there's an audience, I get dared to do stuff all the time at my improv show. I've chugged way too many beers at improv shows, guys. And for what?
So if you want to
praise?
see Matt get drunk and do improv.
If you want to see me get drunk and do improv, keep tuning into this podcast. No. I'll chug a beer on air if people really want that, but I don't think they do because we should be talking about Sleepy Hollow, guys, not about my life mistakes. Okay?
I think your life mistakes are related to Sleepy Hollow.
Well, speaking of life mistakes,
Please.
the witch doesn't survive the gunpowder.
She does not.
But that was a pretty damn cool scene when
Are
she
we
had tamed her
sure,
body back.
though?
We don't know yet.
Because John Cho, John Andy Cho, we thought was going to be dead.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that when he was like walking
behind her,
Mills, and then she's gone, and you don't see him again the rest of the episode.
Right, which like then begs the question: is he flesh and blood or is he a spirit? Because I'm pretty sure he's flesh and blood, right? It's his body that gets up.
Yeah.
So then how did he do the disappearing act?
Well, I mean, he just wasn't there when she turned around. Doesn't mean
Alright.
he wasn't somewhere else. But
Fair. But he's still in play.
that was really cool how they had her lay out the bones and then just lay into the bones.
Mhm.
It made me want to pop my back, but like still, it was really actually pretty cool.
Sweet. Any other last words about this episode before we move into predictions?
Number 49.
Yes.
So,
So Corbin tells her to not be afraid of number 49 and to trust 49, which turns out to be Jenny Mills, who instead of being batshit insane, which is what I thought she was going to be, like a basket case, no, she's training for war against the apocalypse. And I'm like, that's awesome. She's doing pull-ups and she's not taking the pills. She's so good at it because she's a soldier and a boss.
Dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. And I'm also excited. I just, I read this in an article on, I can't remember which article it was, but they were talking about how the show has a very diverse cast. Men, women, people of all kinds of different races.
Of color, yeah.
and it's a very like different ages as well. It's a very well balanced cast, and it blends seamlessly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to comment on it, which like I hate having to comment on it now, but it's so rarely seen on television that it's such a blessing to see a more, I guess, normal, like balanced out cast.
Totally, because that's what the world looks like,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, you compare this cast to, say, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's like there's one Asian member of the cast, and everyone is just so white. And Nicole Beharie is just so awesome.
She's so awesome, and I already love the girl who's her sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? We're gathering up all our characters, and we're going to have a Scooby Gang, like
We are
straight
gonna
out
have a
of
Scooby
Buffy,
Gang.
within like the next 3 episodes, because Orlando Jones is going to be in, and maybe they'll be able to save John Cho's soul, and just dead John Cho will be like the 5th member of their Scooby Gang.
He's like Xander.
Yeah, he's like dead Xander.
Well, they've already broken the 5th wall in the first episode, bringing back someone who's dead.
Fifth
The
wall?
5th wall. I mean, that's what I call it. When writing takes a necessity of death and then just throws it out the window, then it opens the doors for anything. It's like
Well, I mean, Ichabod broke that too.
Well, yeah, but like you knew he was coming back, but like
That's true.
John Cho is someone who's obviously like nobody thought he was going to be alive again.
Yeah.
Right.
And now we could even see the sheriff coming back. We could see
Regularly.
anyone who's been killed coming back. So really, nobody dies in this show.
That's true. It's an interesting rule to make. Like, when you're setting up a show or a movie, you know, with a TV show, it's probably in the first 3 episodes. In a movie, it's like the first 10, 20 minutes. You're making a contract with the audience. You're saying, these are the kinds of things to expect. This is the tone to expect. Those things won't change unless it's for a good reason.
Right.
So they're setting in effect a law of the show, which is that anyone can come back at any time as long as magic is in play.
Dude, there's lots of magic.
There's so much magic here, and we're going to get way more of it. I want to go into predictions. Yes. And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Matt calls these predictions dreams and the shape of things.
Yeah. Well, okay. It's not just our dreams for the show, but it's the fact that both of them are having visions. I'm wondering who's going to get more magic powers. Like, will Abby or her sister be using magic to fight demons by the end of this season? Because we need a spellcaster on the team. I don't think
Right.
Ichabod's the spellcaster. He's
He's
our
Giles.
Yeah, he's the muscle and the brain. You know, Abby is really the leader, I think. She's our commander, and she's going to be our detective and so on. Jenny is going to be the wild card with the brute strength and the fighting skills. I don't know. We need a spellcaster on the team. I think Abby might be our spellcaster,
I think so too.
learning
Yeah.
some white magic.
And what might happen is the sheriff, I keep forgetting his name.
Corbin
I think Corbin might be the one to teach her. If Corbin knew
from Beyond the Grave.
Yeah, if Corbin knew magic in some way, if he was like a human who learned it, he would be the one to teach her. And I actually wanted to go into this really quick because we forgot to mention it. We kind of learn Corbin and Abby's history a little bit more.
Yeah.
True.
We forgot to mention
true.
that because, I mean, that was a powerful scene when it's like, that was I got more
Fathering in that 5 minutes
minutes
than I did in the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that made me really want 2 things.
Mhm.
Made me really want apple pie,
Right.
and it also made me want a lot more scenes between those 2.
Right.
Yeah, because they had great chemistry too. It's one of the reasons why I was so bummed when he got killed.
And we also learned that she's so conflicted. Like, she was, what was it? They robbed it was a hospital.
No,
medicine?
a pharmacy.
A pharmacy.
Yeah,
And
she was doing drugs.
she got screwed over by someone. So I mean, we might even see like that
We might
betrayal.
meet him. Yeah. I wonder if he's a member of a coven.
And now we know though why she's a cop.
Yeah, because she got turned around at the right time in her life. She could have gone down a very dark road, but instead she was ready to go to Quantico. She was ready.
And it's significant that in this story the turnaround point is them eating apple pie together, and then at the beginning of the season the point where she's about ready to go to her next step in life, to go to Quantico, is them eating apple pie together, and he's trying to convince her to stay in town because he knows what's going on.
Yeah. Well, he was having fries. He called her a fry thief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think? One question I have for you guys.
Please.
Just tell me what your opinion is. Do you think her sister will forgive her for leaving her for all those years, or do you think there's going to be a lot of animosity between the two of them?
I think she'll. I don't know about the logic of the show, but if you think about sisters, like, I think she'll forgive her. I think she'll forgive her just to be able to join forces with her.
I think she'll forgive her in time. I think that there's definitely going to be a level of resentment there. She let her languish for many years. We don't know how often Abby visits. It may very well be that that's just part of her life that she tries to forget about. So I don't think it's going to be an immediately happy reunion, but I think over time that relationship is going to be one of the most complex and interesting ones on the show.
And did you get the feeling that she was afraid of the demon in the room, or she was being manipulated by it? Could she be
Neither.
Could she be working out because the demon's telling her to work out to do his bidding? Because I mean, she's been in there a long time alone with this demon.
Yeah.
I think she's because the last episode references battling demons. This is a literal image of battling demons. I think that she keeps seeing the demon, and that's what's encouraging her to work out, because I think she's seen it so much she's no longer really startled by it. But I don't think she's like in a John Cho, Andy position where she's just like, okay, crap, I'm still not dead and I have to like raise people from the dead. But I think that I think she's gearing up to fight it, and I think that there's going to be a sort of confrontation where she actually had to be in the mental institution and knows more than Abby does.
Yeah. She knows more than Abby does. I'm not so quick to immediately dismiss that theory, though, Steve, and I'll tell you why. She's definitely training for something. Her experience has turned her into more of a weapon than a person. Mm-hmm. And the question is, who's controlling that weapon? Is the demon controlling that weapon and training her so that when she's released, she'll be an effective spy or just weapon of destruction for the beast? Or is she training herself in a challenge to this thing that has tormented her all of her life?
And especially her responses were so monotone.
Yeah.
And so inhuman in a way that you never know. And next episode we have the Sandman, looking pretty creepy. I forgot what that movie was, where it was like the dream world, but it had like the dude who was in charge of it. It was like this murderer. He looked kind of like that. And this kid's looking like... I like that every episode is getting a little creepier than the last.
Yeah.
I think they're going to bring in, because they had a good idea where we were like, okay, how do you sustain this? How you sustain this is you bring up, I guess, what their version of apocalyptic like imagery. So if you have all these like different demons coming forth, because they hinted that, okay, she was the first demon to be raised.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a series of demons to be raised that they have to battle. And I think they're going to get really creative with it.
I agree. It's definitely going to be an exciting season. Everything that we've seen has made us just more excited.
We might even see Bane.
We might even see Demon Bane.
Demon Bane.
What about old Greg?
Yeah, I'll see old Greg too.
Yeah. All right. Steven, where can the people find you?
Let me find this lower third. There. You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, StephenLemieux, or doing this Sleepy Hollow podcast. Dexter's over, so I'm not doing that. And then maybe engineering all the great shows here at AfterBuzz TV.
Fantastic. Jacque Borowski.
At 123 Jackie_B. That's Jackie spelled JACQUE on Twitter, and at 123 Jackie B on Instagram, no underscore.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find me here on AfterBuzz TV on the Breaking Bad, Low Winter Sun, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Sons of Anarchy after shows.
All in one day.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and we will see you next week. Good night.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Good night, sleepyheads.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.